Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw. This time I'll give the title of the photos first. So, a family
Okay.
photo from when my son got married. Aww. So, it's a photo made outside. What part of Canada is this? I can't tell from your accent, and I can't tell from the photo, but it's like it's late summer maybe, or early spring. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know.
trying to remember. Yeah.
Um, Maybe September, late August. The main couple getting married. I guess that's your son, and then there's also another group of younger folk. One woman is holding up a baby, very sweet, and then there is you, and I guess that's Deborah standing next to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a photo made from, I don't know, a good like 20 meters away of somebody, so you can see the full body from feet to head, and behind you is this nice wooden, like old wooden exposed fencing or a barn or something, and you're all standing on wood chip style ground, like hard packed. It's not grass, but it's all sort of like, yeah. So what's the significance of your family photo?
As you mentioned, it definitely it was the when my son got married. So it would be 6, 7 years ago now that took place. The picture was taken at what we called the marina. So I'm located in Regina, Saskatchewan, and so
Oh,
the photograph was taken when we sort of they timed their wedding so that it would be conducive to decent weather
right,
patterns, and we
right.
weren't we weren't dealing with anything on the crazy side.
Yeah.
So, and the infant that's in the picture is my granddaughter, and
Okay.
I've what she would have been probably.
She looks about one and a half.
Yeah, I was going to say 1 to maybe 2 years at best, and she actually played a part in the wedding ceremony, and it was
Sweet.
she's kind of yeah, it was definitely very sweet and stuff, and so they got married. They were the person that presided over the ceremony was a judge who happened to be very close friends with Deborah,
Mm-hmm.
and she knew him through where she worked, and she basically called him up and said that I need you to be facilitate the uniting of my son and my soon to be daughter-in-law
Mm-hmm.
in marriage in matrimony, and I need you to do that for me because we don't want anyone else. And so
Nice.
he went and did all the stuff he had to do in order to become to be able to carry out that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So,
Oh,
yeah, there
nice.
was yeah. So that's the picture, and we don't have when I look around the house and that we don't have, I think we only have one other family type picture because
Mm.
in that picture you'd have my son and now daughter-in-law, and you would have my son-in-law and my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd have Olivia, who would be my granddaughter, and then Deborah and I.
Mm-hmm. I think for a listener, it's like, okay, so it's a photo of a family. It's a nice portrait during a wedding. It's just a snapshot from life, really, that
Yeah.
everybody kind of goes through. So to a certain extent, it's almost I don't want to say pedestrian, but it's almost, it's really not flashy, but it's just a
No.
really, it's like just a sweet, beautiful image of people together. Now, how do we tie that back to the benefits of mentoring specifically?
So number one is that family is very important to me. So having those family photographs like that
Mm-hmm.
have definitely some personal attachment to.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing to think about from a mentoring perspective is that mentoring can and does play a part in families. So as we as parents pass on our lived experience to
For sure.
that's how the mentoring connects to that particular aspect of it. It's a matter of being able to not so much tell your children what they should be doing, but it's about being able to use mentoring processes to ask questions to help them think their way through different situations. Like I take a look at my daughter and how she speaks to her two children and how she gets them involved in solving their own crisis, their own problems, and getting them to understand that for every decision, there is an outcome, but there's also a consequence. And I stand back and I look and I'm exceptionally proud of how she parents
Hmm.
and the tools that she's been given and how she uses those.
From my professional side, in terms of the service network leadership, and what we say is a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of business owners are like, okay, how can I make my company more efficient, more productive? And that's why we would get hired. And then what we would say is, well, at the very foundation, we're all born into a service network. In a service network, if you model it like in the sort of top-down command and control style of decision making, that's one way of thinking about it. But what we would say is that no, it's more participatory. It's service leadership is about everybody within the network, shares within the network health, or the decision making, or however people live and experience life. So in a family, I'm looking at this photo of you guys. It's 7 people together in a very intimate service network, and like a baby fills a baby service, right? And a baby
Mhm.
service is meant to be a particular way. And so when you're saying about being able to observe in your daughter how she mentors or uses mentoring tools to kind of get her children to shift their behavior or learn and grow and become more developed, to me that makes really great sense. So within your networking practice, when you're hired as a mentor, how do you articulate, or how do you connect that so that the person really connects with this idea of, well, I need to shift my thinking in how I connect within my family or within my company or whatever to get growth or gains or benefits. So yeah, how do you explain mentorship or mentoring to others?
I look at it from a couple aspects. The one is the definition that I use, which is a two-way trusted relationship where both the mentor and the mentee are going to learn and develop on a personal and professional basis. So there's the personal growth that takes place first before we start to look at the career development piece. What I've found is when I go into an organization to, say, help them deal with some employees that maybe they're thinking of terminating or that they would hope to get more from, I go about building a trusting relationship with that individual. And part of that is also talking about their upbringing
Mm-hmm.
and understanding what were some of the challenges that you faced as you grew up in your particular family. And
Mm.
here are some of the things that I grew up with. Alcohol was a huge thing in my family growing up because my father, God bless him, was an alcoholic. And
Mm-hmm.
there were lots of things I got to witness that have have shaped how I deal with things
Mm-hmm.
today.
Mm-hmm.
And so, getting people to understand that number one, I'm opening up and sharing. So, I'm hoping that you'll feel comfortable as I'm working with you. I'm hoping you'll feel comfortable to say, well, yeah, that kind of happened to me, or that, I don't know why we're talking about that because that's not even relevant in
Mm-hmm.
my case. And then being able to explore and dig a little bit deeper to sort of find out what were some of the things that caused you to behave the way you do today, and probably in a large majority of those I can link it back to your upbringing.
Mm. Okay, for somebody listening who's thinking, okay, so what is this job anyway? So how many clients do you have at any one time?
I'm probably,
That face you just gave.
yeah,
Yeah, I know that face. Yeah, yeah. It's a hustle, man. It's a hustle. I know.
yeah. So I'm probably working with 10 to 15 people
Wow, nice,
right
nice,
now.
nice.
Some are volunteer work. So I do for I think three different organizations. I do volunteer work, volunteer mentoring with,
Hmm.
and then some are paid.
Right. Do you have a Do you have a website? Do you have something I can promote? I mean, I'll put it in the description, of course.
Yeah,
What's the website?
yeah. The website is
Hmm.
www.talentc. So the word talent with the letter C on the end. .ca.
Okay. Okay. So is it that you were a police officer and then you hit this crisis moment? You personally, all of a sudden, realized, okay, whoa, this is bigger than me. And then you took leave and but through retirement. Like, how did you step away from being an active on duty police officer to being, okay, you know what? I am going to take this whole world of service, of helping others, and I'm going to shift how I bring that into the community.
So how it all started was while I was still working in the RCMP, I I came to realize that I was actually because I was managing, a 140 to 160 employees. I was responsible for them and their personal and professional development. And I didn't know what I was actually doing, like what kind of the moniker that you wanted to
Mm,
put around it. But I eventually, because I would have staff coming into my office and I would ask them questions to help them think their way through stuff, and they'd leave and they'd go, "It's magic." You go in there into his office and you sit down and he asks you a few questions, and all of a sudden, poof,
mm-hmm.
the answer to those questions is there. So, but what really drove the journey that I'm still on is that I was job coaching university students or college students, helping them, resume and cover letter and interview prep and all that sort of stuff. And they would get hired, and then 3 4 months down the road, they'd encounter a situation that they didn't know how to deal. So they, Doug, we need to talk to you. And
Mm-hmm.
so I do the same thing. I just ask questions to get them to think their way through and be able to figure it out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And they eventually they got to a point where I was getting referral after referral after referral, and they said, you need to do this for a living.
Mm-hmm.
We can't afford to pay you, but I'm sure somebody could. And so I started then to do market research, and I found that there was a niche, that there was a need that was there that I could fill.
Mm-hmm.
And it involved mentor certification, but it also involved mentoring and helping other people become the best that they can be on a personal and professional basis.
Well, that's so generous and amazing. Like, I respect. I want to get to the next photo because see, that's what's crazy about these podcasts. Like for me, I meet people like you, and I'm like I want to talk to you for hours, but for the listeners' benefit, I'm going to keep it to an hour. So can we move on to the next photo?
Yes, we can.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.